I always like to tell this story. It's a little bit of an alarming story, but it's just the truth. The morning after my affair had become public to the staff of the church, and it had already caught fire. It was just kind of being sent out amongst the airwaves of our senior leadership team and all that nonsense. I was actually told not to go home by one of our kind of executive leaders. It was really a little bit weird, but at the end of the day I woke up and they said, okay, go home. We're going to talk to your wife in 24 hours and make sure that she knows everything that's gone on. So I drove home. I'll never forget being in Long Beach, California, driving home on the 405 freeway. The most ominous, darkest, just all I can say is ominous drive I've ever had in my life. It was worse than the drive when I lost my dad and I was like 23 years old. And I remember still planning, how can I get around telling Samantha all the details? I mean, I was caught. These leaders were coming in 24 hours to let Samantha ask any questions that she wanted and to corroborate or to actually prove me a liar if I didn't give everything up. But I still was driving home and I was plotting, how can I get away with this? How can I slant this? How can I create a new story to not have to tell Samantha the details of my affair? I mean, it was dark. It was an incredibly dark moment, and if you're an unfaithful spouse, you understand it because you've probably been there. It's this really pretty ugly part of who we are to try and get away with it. I'm not proud of it, but most unfaithful spouses have probably crossed this chasm before. Maybe not all, but a lot. And it's a window into the darkness of who we are. And I tried. I thought I could create this story. I could try and put all these leaders against me and that this is a smear campaign. And so the truth is, I was sorry that I got caught. I wasn't sorry for what I had done. It was too early. It was 24 hours after it had become public. I was scrambling. I was hemmed in on every side. I mean, looking back, there was no way that I could get away with it. I just wasn't that good. But I was still so unhealthy, I was trying to find a way to get away with it. And most unfaithful spouses will do the exact same thing because we're unhealthy. A major principle in recovery is the methods that you use. One of the reasons that betrayed spouses love Rick and the other therapist on our team and love the EMS weekend, for example, is, quite honestly, the BS meter of the therapist is off the chart. I mean, they've heard it all. And soon after my driving home and giving up the details and just coming clean with it all, it took about an hour and a half. Samantha threw up several times in between the details of my affair. It literally took a starting and stopping of a few hours to do an hour and a half of disclosure of details and the sordid, intimate details of the affair over the last 2.5 years. And when we got to Rick, I still was not healthy. It was a few months later. I had started to show a little bit of remorse and a little bit of true guilt, but I still was not there yet. And so when I tried to kind of spout off some things to Rick, Rick's BS meter would not let me get away with it. And he wouldn't shame me and say, you're full of BS and here's why. He would kind of go back door and say, so does that mean this? And I would go, it was like this Jedi mind trick. He would say, so does that mean this? And I would go, no, that's not what, no. And Samantha would be next to me in some of the sessions and I would go, no, that's not what I mean. And he would say, well, what do you mean then? And I would say, I don't know what I mean, Rick, help me. And he would say, do you mean this? And I would say, that's what I mean. I'm afraid to say that, or I don't know how to say that. Or I said it in a way that I was a complete a-hole, and Samantha wanted to stab me, and Rick was able to go, do you really think you mean this, or do you think you mean that? And I would say, ooh, I mean that. That's really good. Or there were several sessions where Rick's BS meter was so off the chart, he would look at Samantha and go, Samantha, give me a second here. Don't react to that. And Rick would just, with a scalpel, cut away at the defensive skills that I had, shown. He would kind of cut away at the excuses. He would cut away at the things that I had told myself for 2.5 years. And it was through that process that I began to slowly but surely find remorse and find humility and find empathy and find sobriety. When it started to come, it was a runaway freight train. I mean, it hit me harder and harder and harder and harder. But it took an expert with a BS meter to be able to hear and see and uncover the BS that was in my life. And so I got to tell you, I hope this story helps you, because if you're not getting help from an expert, their BS meter is not going to be very high, and you may be allowing a whole lot of BS to come through the system that doesn't need to be there. So I'm praying for you today, I'm hoping for you today, and I hope this helps you.